Welcome back to the nature of mental health. We talk a lot on this show about how nature benefits the whole self and how it's such a readily accessible resource. But the truth is, not everyone has the same access. Often, there are social, economic, racial, or ethnic barriers that make certain populations feel like they don't belong, or that they don't have free and unfettered access to parks or wild spaces. Today's guests are from Access Nature Project, based in Westchester County, New York. Joining me are Bonnie Robbins, Jessica Colón, and Marie Calo, three amazing women who are very passionate about educating community organizations to the healing powers of nature. Access Nature Project's mission is to bring the benefits of nature to underserved populations. The program's unique focus on self-sufficiency enables their participants to enjoy nature outings on their own, creating a lifetime tool for well-being and a connection to the natural world. Get ready to hear from these three powerful and resourced women striving to bring nature to everyone. Welcome to The Nature of Mental Health, the podcast where we explore how time outdoors supports emotional well-being, resilience, and healing. I'm your host, Will Henry, clinical social worker, nature-informed therapist, and founder of Riverstone Mental Health Collective. Join me as we dive into practical tools, meaningful conversations, and inspiring stories that help us reconnect with the natural world and ourselves. Thanks for being here. Let's get started. Thanks for joining me again on the nature of mental health. I am so excited to welcome Bonnie, Marie, and Jessica from Access Nature Project here in Westchester County to the show today. So thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
You're
For having
welcome.
us. Yeah.
Absolutely. We talk a lot on this show about how nature benefits the whole self and how it's a readily accessible resource. But the truth is, not everyone has that same access, and which I think is why it's so important, the work that you're doing. And I'm so excited to have you on the show today to talk about that. I thought we could start with brief introductions and your role with Access Nature, and maybe take a minute or so to talk about yourself a little bit and your title and how that translates. So I thought we would start with you, Marie. Can you tell us a little about yourself?
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having us today. So, my name is Marie. I'm the program coordinator for people with disabilities at Access Nature Project. I've been a lifelong educator. I started with students with disabilities. So, this is taking me all the way up to now adults with disabilities. And I'm so happy to be able to do this work and see the joy it brings to the groups that we work with. Like I said, I've been an educator. I'm an avid nature enthusiast. I volunteer at New York Botanical Garden, local food pantries, farms. So I'm in there doing the work too. I love hiking, skiing, all that. So thanks
Awesome.
for having me.
Oh, you're more than welcome. Thank you. Jessica, we know each other. I thought I'd give
Yes.
you this lady. Why don't you tell us a little about yourself and your role there at
Sure.
Access Nature?
Absolutely. So I'm Jessica Colón. I am so happy to be the coordinator of the community organizations with Access Nature. It feeds into my work, which centers in creating inclusive, accessible opportunities that connect children and families in nature. I have a nonprofit organization that's called For the People and Kids, and we try to collaborate and built this understanding of how important it is to be out in nature, how important it is to teach the children in what I call an outdoor no-wall classroom. So when I met Mom Bonnie, I said, "Yeah, sign me up. Let's do this." So I work with the local community organizations. A lot of them are Spanish speaking, and it's a great way to kind of see them enter these green space that we'll talk more about that they don't necessarily have access to, even though we're like, it's right around us, but they can't get to. But I love to see the familiarity that they have. It touches something in maybe their upbringing or where they come from. I know it connects with me being born in Puerto Rico and following my grandmother around in the farm. So whenever I go to these spaces, I completely feel that inner child in me dancing.
Love it. Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you.
And Bonnie, why don't you take a moment here and then we got questions.
My name is Bonnie Robbins, and I am honored to be here today. and I am honored to be the director of the Access Nature Project. Talk more about that in a little bit. But a little bit about me. I think one thing you could definitely say about me is I am passionate about the healing benefits of nature, and one of my 5 grandchildren. When he was quite small, maybe 7 or 8, he wrote a piece for school about me, and he said, "My Baba loves nature. My Baba thinks nature can fix everything." Like, it went on and on and on. And and I have to get my nature fix, and I started this. I'll talk about that in a little bit as well. But uh, I have been involved in the environmental movement for forever, since the late 60s, since the early 70s. I was involved with one of the first, if not the first, environmental periodical in the United States called Earth, the Environmental News of the Bay Area. That was out of Berkeley, California. And we were advocates for things that were unheard of at that time, like recycling, things like that. And then fast forward, I stayed involved as an environmental activist for many years, and then got very involved in the land preservation movement. And I'm very proud to say I was a big part of that locally in our town of Lewisboro, helping to preserve over 1,000 acres of land. So I've always been a big nature advocate. And should I talk about the history of me getting into,
Well, we're
or?
going to get to that just now. I just wanted to say you've been doing this for such a long time, and this is the
Mhm.
12th year, right, of Access Nature Project. I believe that's
Right.
right. Can you
Yes.
speak to like how this got started? How did you, tell me about the history? When did it
Yeah,
all
I'd love
start?
to. So, yeah, I guess it was about, yeah, maybe around 2014. At that time, I was the co-director and co-chair of the Lewisboro Land Trust. And in that capacity, I started and ran all of their outdoor nature programs for the community. So I was running probably, I don't know how many, 30, 40 of those programs a year. And they were for adults, they were for teenagers, they were for children. They Some were for seniors. And some were just hikes, guided hikes. Some were nature walks with the naturalists. As long as I could be outside, I was happy to do that. So about 12, 13 years ago, we decided to try a pilot program with 2 other land trusts, got a very small grant from Land Trust Alliance. And we ran one program, we called it Access Nature. And it really hit me. It stuck. I think the first program was a group of young adults on the spectrum, and I was overwhelmed with what I perceived as what they were getting out of this nature experience. The other 2 land trusts didn't follow up on that. They didn't continue, but we did. And I ended up building up a very nice organization there with basically local organizations. And then about 3 years ago, about 2023, 22, I left and went with Dig Farm because had grown so much and were more regional. And at that time, we became an initiative, the Access Nature Project of Dig Farm. And Dig Farm is a wonderful, amazing organization. They're basically teaching and getting the community involved with regenerative agriculture. And they have 4 major initiatives. We're one. Another one is Change of Seas, Seas of Change, which works with incarcerated women locally. And another one is the Westchester Food Project, which is really the basis of their whole organization. Allison Turcan, an amazing woman,
Mm.
who runs Dig Farm, the entire organization. I think at this point they have something like 10 or 12 local community farms that are just run by the community. I want to give a really good shout out here.
Nice.
Dig Farm in Allison. And all the food grown, almost all of it grown, goes to the food pantry. And we'll talk more about that, how we have a full circle going on at times with that, which is very exciting. I'll let Marie and Jessica talk more about that. So that's basically it. That's how I got here.
Well,
Uh,
when you started like 12, 13 years ago, I mean, were there like what, I mean, you've been such an advocate for so long. Were there any particular gaps here in Westchester or in this area you were trying to fill when you started that
well, what
or
I found, that's a great question. Well, what I found was that there was a huge need for this. And we, right in the beginning, we did branch out to community organizations. I think the first one we worked with was Community Center of Northern Westchester out of Katana. And we had two or three special needs organizations in the beginning that work populations of adults with chronic mental illness, and a lot of organizations on the spectrum. And what I found was there was a huge need for this. They wanted these programs. They saw the value of these programs. So here I am,
here
12
you
years
are?
later. But anyway,
Well,
at an age when I am retired from my usual work and working hard at this also.
it's such an important thing you're doing. And like from your perspective, right? How does nature fill those gaps? So you see the needs that the people on the spectrum, for example, how is it
Yes.
that, and I want to get to like the research piece, but do you see any like anecdotally or anything the way
Oh, completely. Yes, we see it anecdotally all the time. Um, but the research is a really important aspect of this. I
Mhm,
was
mhm.
really excited to listen to the last podcast you did that I don't know would air a week or two ago recently.
Yeah,
Or 2
recently, it
weeks,
was last
yeah.
weekend. Yeah.
And I loved what when you said, nature doesn't hurry, but everything is done. And, and then you talked about the research, and I really want to give a big shout out to William Henry here, because a lot of times these podcasts, they get into generalities. You were very specific, and I loved it, talking about how just a few minutes in nature activates the parasympathetic nervous
Our
system,
system,
the
yeah.
vagal nerve, how it reduces depression and anxiety. And so we're so lucky that actually, especially during COVID, since COVID, so much research came out to verify what
So
we
much.
see ourselves, what we experience ourselves when we're out in nature, and what we see other people experiencing when they're out in nature. Um,
Any kind of things that you have like come across any interesting studies or anything that you've found really speak to your work?
I have not seen many, if any, studies on the effects of nature on people with disabilities.
Mm,
And I would really love to see that being done, because I think a lot of if the benefits would be the same as in the general public, but depending on what the disability is, it might affect different people in more ways than others.
sure.
Well, I will mention one of my favorite studies is the one that was done a while back from the University of Essex. And they took two groups. Do you know this study? They took two groups and they were trying to see if being in nature could affect depression. And so the one group walked in a kind of an urban park, not in the wilderness, just an urban park, for a certain amount of time each day for a certain period of time. And the other group walked in the mall. And they found that the people that walked in the park, 71% of them felt less depressed, felt happier. The people that walked in the mall, actually, some of them felt more depressed. I love to
Mhm.
quote that study because I can totally relate to it, completely relate to it. Yeah.
There's another study I think it was in grad school, I may have even learned about it, but definitely during the certification I got for nature-informed therapy about, because I studied in a hospital, and one side of the hospital faced, there was a line of trees or something. It was something similar like that, but they had the window access to
Mhm.
their views, right? And the other side was like the parking lot and the buildings and and the people on this other side. And it was a longitudinal study for several years, a lot of people, like thousands of patients. And the people on the side with the trees all like days quicker got out, it was a
That's it.
really, I forget the
Yeah.
study off the top of my head, but I remember that stuck with me. Um, well,
I mean,
So
thanks.
just to
I do want to say the other thing that you said that really resonated with me was that when you're in nature, you don't have to do anything. You said you don't have to do anything. Nature takes care of it.
Right. Yeah.
Nature does it all. And that's kind of almost like the mantra of our organizational work that we do, because we're taking people out. Some have very limited mobility, and we educate them that they don't have to hike up a mountain. They don't have to go out in the wilderness for days at a time. They don't have to go even walk. Just being in nature brings the healing benefits. So I just think that's so significant for so many people that don't have the opportunity, either physically or other reasons, to access, more extreme or more active or extreme forms of nature.
just jumping in on what Bonnie was saying with the research,
Hmm.
some of the comments, these are qualitative comments from our organizations, after the trips is how much more the participants are socially engaged, how much more
Hmm.
they feel an increased sense of peace, much more calm. One of our groups compares how the participants are on the ride in the van, and they said that on the way to the outing, everybody's quiet, everybody's sullen, nobody's talking. And then on the way home, everybody's upbeat and sociable and talking to each other. So these are just a few of the qualitative comments we find on our follow ups
Nice.
about the benefits.
Yeah, there's so many benefits. I mean, and the part to speak to all of that is, when you go out in nature, right? We talk about I talk about being held, and it's kind of like this larger community, this big, ethereal almost, but we always feel welcome, and there's no pressure, there's no obligations, you get to
Hmm.
just be yourself. And that is so freeing
Hmm.
for so many people, I think, with
If I
disabilities
can, if,
without,
if
yeah.
I can add, it's powerful. Like I can see it happening, as the families come in, Dig Farm is a wonderful place. And it's one of the places we always kind of start at, our
Hmm.
seasonal. And, once I see the family arriving, right, and you see them getting off the bus and you see them walking and seeing, the land becomes familiar to them, even if it's their first time. But, the parents and the grandparents and the children, they begin to recollect stories that they shared, or
Oh,
they
I
think
love that.
about when they were there, they're very familiar with agriculture. They go out into the farm and they're right away, they'll look and they'll know, oh, I know what this is. This is, oh, you know what I do back home? I make for this. So it's really beautiful. And they just start exploring that. We're like, okay, great. This is it. So like Bonnie says, it kind of just works itself. It's magical. And
It
we're,
is.
I feel very blessed to be able to do this kind of work because it's no secret. It's really wonderful to get people out there and you see the change in them instantly, and
Instantly.
especially when we have intergenerationals, we have the grandparents, the parent, the child. It's really
That
beautiful.
must be a
It's
beautiful experience. I wanted, that's a great segue, Jessica. I wanted to, tell me about the community aspects of the nature, Access Nature Project, right? How does that work? How do you
Yeah,
get communities involved? What does
yeah,
that look like?
with individuals.
Hmm.
We in particular don't work. We work with organizations. We call them our partners. They're our partners. We work with them as partners. And we design outdoor nature programs for our partners. Each organization is unique. Each individual in their organization is unique. So we put a lot of attention on assessing what their needs and abilities are. So we have an assessment phase that does that. And then in terms of the programs, we try to run, we work three seasons, spring, summer, fall. We try to work with each organization 3 times a year, summer, spring, summer, and fall. Some of them would like us to do it weekly, but we're
Yeah.
not in a position to do that.
Sure.
And then, our actual programs run about an hour and a half to 2 hours, and we are educating, Will, is what we're doing. We're doing education on the benefits of nature. We're teaching the staff, we're teaching the clients what benefits they can get, and then we're helping them to build a lifetime tool of well-being by helping them to build the confidence to go out on their own on a regular basis. Our goal is we'd like to see our groups going about 3 times a week into nature in some capacity. And so for that, we have a follow-up aspect to our program where we're, nudging them, nagging them, giving them information, giving them education. We actually recommend where they can go that's close proximity to where they meet. And we even will recommend specific trails, and we will repeat the places and the trails so that they become more comfortable going back there on their own. That is very unique. What we're doing in that aspect, in that capacity of a long-term effect, is at equal importance to the work that we do.
Absolutely. Yeah, that sounds. How does it look getting the communities involved? How does that look?
If I can,
Yeah,
and
please.
one of
Yeah.
the beautiful things about Access Nature Project is that they are removing physical, financial, social barriers that may prevent some of these families
Hmm.
to get to do these things, So Access Nature takes care of everything. We get the bus, we pick everyone up in their community center, and we get them to the location. A lot of times, what Maria and I do is we plan these excursions with them. And within the excursions, there's obviously learning points that we cover all the time. But a lot of times, these community participants are like, hey, I've never been to, the Hammond Museum. They have a beautiful Japanese garden. So we did that and we took them there. Or I want to go apple picking. So we've done that, and it's really just been wonderful to get them so excited. Like Bonnie says, they want to do it all the time. Like right now, we're starting up our season. So we're getting lined up and I've already gotten emails like, Jessica, I want to do this and this and that. So, we're ready to set them up. Absolutely. And again, just the opportunity that they have is fantastic, and it's something that's right there, but sometimes we take it for granted, or the fact that they just don't have the accessibility, which is so important,
Yeah.
I
Well,
think
how do
Bonnie
they
is,
reach out to you? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go on.
no, 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 no. Well, the three of us, talk about different organizations that we would like to work with, or
Hmm.
Bonnie has been doing this for so long that she has a list of different organizations. And then depending, Bonnie and Marie will talk to the organizations that Marie works with, and then Bonnie and we do an assessment. And we
Gotcha.
find out what their needs are and what their participants or the consumers' needs are and how we can fulfill that. And then Bonnie explains to them how the program works. And if it's a good match, then we give it a try and we'll
There you
have
go.
a
Okay.
pilot program. Yeah.
I
So
see.
with community organizations, we've been able to work with young kids, if I can say, Bonnie, I don't know if I should say the name, but
The
immigrant
organization?
children. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Can I?
It's on our website. It's on our
Okay.
newsletters. Yeah, it's public.
So all right. So we worked with oh my God, I just forgot the name. Lincoln. I
Neighborly
just
Lincoln
drew a
Hall.
Lincoln.
blank. Yes, Lincoln
Yeah.
Hall. And what they do is they work with immigrant children. So
Yeah.
they got to the point, and we started as a pilot, not sure how it was going to be received. by all. And it went so well that they were so quickly to start doing things on their own. I remember they're going to Bedford Audubon Society and they were helping out with with the cleaning, taking bird tours, something that
Who knew?
who knows, and it made
Yeah.
such a change in their life. Absolutely. I bought binoculars and I started going bird watching.
I
This guy
actually
too.
have a quote from Julia at
Yes.
Lincoln Hall, who was the
Yes.
director at the time. She said, "quote The program promoted social activity and togetherness, and they were more relaxed and calm at the end of the event." But we recently had an organization reach out to us. Marie, you can explain about that. They actually have 3 different groups that they want us to take on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
3 different levels of disability, and Bonnie and I met with them in our initial assessment phase. They seemed interested, and hopefully we'll get them out to maybe Dig Farm and do a pilot and see if they like it. But they were very interested in the power of nature and how it could serve their population, and really wanting to give it a try. So we're hopeful that that will work for this group. It's worked for all our other groups, so we hope the
Yeah.
model fits.
And Marie, especially with Marie's groups, because she's the coordinator of special organization,
Mhm.
uh, each time we run a program, we have to update the assessment because we want to make sure that everybody is accommodated. So our philosophy is that everybody succeeds. So no matter how much or how little they can do, they succeed. So I don't know, Marie, if you want to go into a
Yeah.
little bit about how we accommodate in terms of different abilities of mobility.
Yeah, I was going to ask about the assessment process, but I mean for accommodations, particularly for your groups, Marie. I know that with the special needs
Mhm.
populations, like it's can be so variable, especially those. I think a lot of people on the spectrum you said are
Right.
part of the program, right?
Yes, yes. So we do an assessment every year. So we determine the needs, the abilities, if anything's changed from year to year. Like Bonnie said, our main goal is safety and ability to succeed. So we won't turn anyone away. If someone can't do a long walk, they don't have to. They can do a short walk. They can sit on the bench. We make sure that once I talk to the program directors and see what everybody's interests are and where they might like to go, or I would suggest somewhere, we make sure that the terrain is suitable for our groups. One of our participants was in a wheelchair, so we went to Rockefeller Preserve, which has a very flat loop around Swan Lake, and they had a wonderful an e-chair that we were able to use, and they were so happy that this person was able to participate and go on the hike with us. Sometimes we'll split a group for people who can do a little more, people who can do a little less, but everyone benefits from being in nature, like Bonnie said. Um, we have a ratio of 3 to 1. So we have staff, we have volunteers, so we keep our ratio low. We check into dietary restrictions, allergies, language, if we need to have an interpreter, stamina, endurance. So there's a lot of behind the scenes work that
Sure.
goes into planning for the first trip. And, we encourage everyone to do part of the activity, but we don't push. If someone isn't interested or doesn't feel they can do it, that's fine. As long as we have staff to cover, that if they want to stay back or sit on the bench, that's fine.
I
They
love
still
that
get the
everybody.
benefits.
Yeah, meeting them where they are
Yeah.
and letting them get what they feel they can out of it, and sometimes and
Hmm.
that could look different day to day, right? So
You know,
Right.
yeah,
Will, it sounds complicated, but it really isn't. I have an educational workshop that I give to other outdoor organizations, and I always want to emphasize that it sounds more complicated than it is. So accommodating all different levels simply means that Rockefeller is a good example. There's a path that you take around Swan Lake. And within 5 minutes of walking, 7 minutes, there's a lovely area with benches where people that don't want to do anymore can sit. We always have enough staff and volunteers so they're not alone and they can enjoy the view. And then we can continue on. So that's the kind of accommodation that I'm talking about. It's not a major, major thing.
Sure.
But every program that we run, we find out, is there anyone with limited mobility? What is their ability? And we accommodate for that. They must have a good experience. They must. So if it's, if you're not having a good experience, we're defeating the purpose of it.
That's right.
Yeah.
What is
And
what are
then we also always, or Jessica, maybe you want to talk about this about at the end, how we do the education and,
Yeah, I just
the
also wanted
food.
to add, since working with Bonnie and Marie, I've seen changes occur, with Bonnie's endless working on, I've seen Lasden Park and also Bedford Audubon where they've extended their trail size so you can pull a wheelchair through there, which is
love that.
amazing,
Yeah.
all are welcome. So that's super important. What did you say, Bonnie? The way we ended? We break
Yeah,
bread
the end of
together,
each program,
which is
and also
fantastic.
some of, you mentioned the buses. Our
Yes,
community organizations, the special organizations mostly all have vans, not all of them,
right.
but the community organizations they don't have any buses. So will you
Yeah.
pay for that? Go ahead.
Oh, so
Yeah, we
sorry.
pay.
Yeah, but Jessica, what does it look like? Like, so you were talking about the ending of the episode, but the whole, like the hour
Yeah.
and a half we were there. What does that look like, Jessica? When you take your
Sorry,
groups there? That's all right.
my kid just got into the college he wanted to.
Yay!
Yay! That's amazing.
Yay!
So, sorry, that's beautiful. Um, so we have a bus. We have a bus, and we pick them up, and they're so excited. I think my community organizations are more family. So we have the children aspect. So then we have an art educator that comes in and does artwork with the kids, allowing the parents then to kind of take a minute and enjoy and do some of the farming or whatever we have scheduled for them to do. We all then come together and we break bread, which is one of my favorite things. It's gotten so I start making my own food to share with them. When they're like, "Hey, you're gonna bring that?" They're already accustomed to what I'm
Oh,
bringing. We sit there, and I see the difference in them. And I always tell them when they first get there, "See how you feel how you feel before you got here, and now how do you feel now?" And they're like, "Oh, so different. I'm not worried about anything. I feel so relaxed. I want to just stay here." So that in itself is a gift.
that is
I'm
amazing.
sorry, I lost my train of thought.
It's a big
It's
deal.
allowed. It's
Yeah,
allowed.
absolutely.
Yeah, I
know,
could continue. I could continue on a typical trip, right?
Yeah. Well,
So
what does it look like
So
for
exciting.
Marie for your?
Jessica, so exciting.
Yeah.
thank you.
Well, Maria and I have a thing we do. I don't know if we do it with your groups too, Jessica. Maybe we do. At the end, after lunch or snacks, we ask people how they feel and how they feel compared to, when they first got there. How many people feel better?
Me?
How many people feel more relaxed? We have a more sophisticated, more professional
Uh-huh.
follow-up questionnaire that we use. This is just,
Uh-huh.
for the group. But what we're doing when we're doing that, we're educating them, we're reinforcing their own experience. We're helping them to reinforce their own
Absolutely.
experience. And then when 90% or 95%, raise their hand, they're feeling better, then I say, now, how many people would like to come here again? Well, then you
Well,
have to add your guy here, who's your director. Tell him you want to come here again. Yeah.
yeah, that's important to reinforce that because I mean, I talk about it like, with clients naming the monster, right? When you talk about the bad things, you want to name them and get that stuff out. It's also with the positive, right? You want to name what's
Hmm.
positive to build like a data bank of resource. It's like resourcing, right? And I have the nature is a resource I can access, and so reinforcing that with them cognitively, I think is really important.
Yeah.
So,
I
I mean,
just want to,
another thing we
yeah,
do too is we compliment the group on, a job well done for the day because sometimes people have arrived and they've been nervous and they've been anxious and we address their fears when we start out and we ask, does anybody have concerns? And some people say, "Will there be snakes?" And we
Yeah.
we address we
there's,
bears, and we take a minute to address those things and
So important.
remind people about the benefits. And what's also gratifying is some of our return partner organizations, they remember the benefits.
They
And when we
do.
do our little intro in the beginning about what the day will entail and what the activity will be, we ask them and we talk about the benefits as part of our educational briefing, and they remember them and they'll raise their hand and say, nature makes me feel calm and better and relaxed. And so it's great to see that. It really is.
I think
Absolutely.
ultimately what Access Nature brings is empowerment. And even we see, especially when I work with the elder communities as well, right? With the seniors, and they come up there and they're like, watch, I'm going to get over that mountain next time I'm around. And they make it up there and they're so
Wow.
excited about that. So that's really wonderful too. And then we send emails, we follow up after they come to a trip. When we send them, hey, this is what's happening at Muscoot Farm, or this is what's happening at, Rockefeller State. Take the community or encourage your participants to go there. There's a lot of follow up with this, which is great. It's a
And
really
I want to
lovely connection.
Yeah, I want to get to the
Yeah.
follow-up in just a second because I do have some questions about that. But I wanted to ask you in particular, Jessica, with the community organization and like access, what are the gaps there? Like with people accessing nature, what are some things we would love to see?
Transportation.
I'm sorry, say
There's
that
no
again. I
way.
didn't understand you.
Transportation. They
Thank
have
you.
no way of getting there. And it's a long walk. As much as we want them to be out in nature, it's a lot. So
Yeah,
it's so difficult, and that's one thing that Bonnie also advocates for. For example, there's a local bus that drives right by Rockefeller State Park.
yeah,
Drives right by,
right
you
past.
They
know.
drive the Westchester County buses drive by the county parks and don't stop.
That's okay.
It
That
makes
It's
no
insane.
sense.
it
Yeah,
doesn't make
Yeah.
any
yeah,
sense.
Yeah. So
yeah.
that's probably the
And
biggest,
language barrier for your
Mm,
group. So we have
hmm.
bilingual staff. Jessica's bilingual as well. Yeah. So just to give you an overall, um, we work with a variety of organizations. One of the new areas we're getting into more and more now is senior assisted living, seniors
Mm, hmm.
in assisted living, and each group has different particular needs and interests. So it's easy to just figure out working with the staff as partners. What makes this easy to do is when you work with the staff as partners because they know their clientele.
Hmm.
You know, so we have, and so we took on Kendall last year, the assisted living. They loved it. I have a quote from their director, Sandra Sadako. This is what she felt experienced for her clients: increased sense of peace, calmness, and increased socialization. So we're just getting feedback constantly on the benefits. So we work with a diverse group, and also the venues that we bring people to, it's very diverse.
Yeah.
So we like to start by taking them to Dig Farm because the ones that want to come back on their own, that's easy for them to organize that there. Okay.
Okay.
But then we focus on venues that are close to where they meet, so it's easy for them to get to. And we're now partnering with, Jessica mentioned, the Hammond Museum, Caramore,
That's a big
Lasden
one.
Park. We have a wonderful partnership with Rockefeller State Park. They give us free
Great
naturals. We
space.
didn't mention that a lot of our nature programs include a naturalist. So we're educating on not just the
Nice.
benefits of nature, but the actual specific scientific
The science
emphasis
behind it. Yeah.
groups. And
Yeah, yeah.
every group loves to learn different abilities of how they learn, how much they can learn, but they love it. Rockefeller gives us free naturalists. We do the organization and the follow up, and they help us with the implementation. We have so many, and so now we're incorporating not just naturalists. We have art projects, nature art projects, especially for the families. We'll hire a nature art. We're
An
not
art
doing
educator.
therapy. Yeah, art educator. Laston has their own art educator. So now at Caramore, we also, in addition to all that we said before and being outside, we provided them with free tickets to a chamber music. So we're incorporating the arts with this too. So it's just a whole growth experience in so many different ways, using nature as a basis.
Love
It's a
that.
way to show them that they belong in these places as well. These
Thank
places
Right.
are
you. Yeah.
theirs.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And it's lovely to please come back. This is for you guys. This is for
Right.
all of us. So it's
It's one
wonderful
of
to
the
see them.
first shocks I had doing this, probably 10 years ago. I took a group to Angle Fly Preserve in Somers. It really has
Mhm.
it just has trails. That's it. And it was a
And
group
fishing. I've yet to get there.
Ah.
yeah, yeah, and it's the last trout stream in Westchester County, by the way. But anyway, they not stocked. Okay, natural.
That's natural, wild.
Anyway,
Yeah.
it was a group of basically bilingual Hispanic, first generation and their families, and we had a naturalist. They went crazy. They loved it so much, learning about the mushrooms and the this and the that, this and that. There was one fellow who was very quiet the whole time. He was, maybe 30 years old. And at the end, when I said, "Do you have questions?" and how do you feel? And, he raised his hand and very, very, very quietly said, "Can we come back here without you? Are we allowed permitted here?"
Mm.
And I
Yeah.
never in my life thought I would have thought to address that concern. Like Jessica just said, I had to teach them. We had to teach them they belong there. They have a right and a privilege to be there. That these lands were preserved not for the elite, but for the public, for anyone to access. And so our job is just making that access more possible.
Absolutely. I love that. Thank you. We all are entitled and belong. Um, and I think Jessica, Marie, if you want to chime in about, people with disabilities, people of color, and the access, it's not when you think of I've done this exercise with some people. When you think of someone out hiking, or you think of being out and you picture someone out in the wilderness, what do you picture, right? Who do you picture? And a lot of people you ask, it's like someone all geared up, and it's people of color I've asked, and they've been like, I don't feel like I belong out there. And that's not
Absolutely.
okay. That's not
No,
okay.
no.
And so I love that you all are addressing these issues. I think it's so absolutely important.
I
It's
can't
wonderful.
tell you how fulfilling it is. It's like so fulfilling to do this work.
Imagine
That's
for
why I
them
do it for
too.
free.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Imagine for them to get out of their everyday hustle and bustle and chaotic
Yeah.
scenes and whatever and just get up there and then realize, hey, this this is an option. It's right there.
It is.
Absolutely.
Marie, do you
Yeah.
have any anecdotes or anything like that experience that they have that they've shared with you or that you've seen or that you want to share?
Some of our participants are very interested in nature and
Hmm.
very interested in animals. I'm thinking of one gentleman specifically from Pathways, and he has very limited mobility, very limited mobility. And we went to Westmoreland, and the naturalist was so wonderful that he just sat this person down on the bench and he brought nature to him. He brought the
Love that.
birdhouse to him, and then we went inside and they did all the tours of the snakes and the rabbits in
Hmm.
their
I
hutch
love Westmoreland.
inside. So this gentleman could access not just nature, but learning about animals because he was very interested and has a lot of background knowledge. So these trips, and that same gentleman came to Rockefeller. And as Bonnie said, 5 minutes in, we sat on the bench and the naturalist addressed all his questions. And there was a lot that he learned, and very grateful to us for taking them there and happy. And this same group is also went on their own to one of the places that we took them to. They did all the planning this winter for maple syruping activity. They
Yeah.
went to, I think it was New Canaan Nature Center. I was copied on all the emails, and I was so happy to see that our nagging and our, hey, you can do this on your own, paid off. And they
Yeah.
went and
Yeah.
they had a
That,
great time.
This group is our
yeah.
star. They're our star. They're going out in nature several times a week with
Love
their
that.
clients. I actually have a quote from Will, also because you are the nature of mental health, I just want to emphasize, we do work with several organizations whose clients have chronic serious mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
And the one Maria is referring to is Pathways. And their director, Monique Jackson, they're our star. Many participants, you want anecdotal. This is a direct quote from her. Report feeling calmer, more relaxed, and less isolated after these trips. The outings encourage social interaction, physical activity, and a sense of community, all of which support their mental health and overall well-being.
I love that.
And a quick little quote from someone from the Sunshine Club, which is part of Westchester Jewish Community Services, that I've been working with for probably 12 years now. And he was someone who would just also didn't walk much and sat. I remember at Muscoot Farm, and I, a little concerned about him and said, tell me, how did you feel today? And he just looked at me and he said, good. I just feel good. This place just makes you feel good.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So true. These places are, and there's so many of them here in Westchester County. Muscoot's a great one as well. And so you don't have, you were saying earlier, partnerships per se with these places, but they all are welcome you with open arms, I imagine, and are like, please come.
They
and
love what we're doing.
Yeah.
They love it. They love it. They do everything they can to accommodate us. And I give a quick shout out to the Wolf Center, Wolf
Wolf
Conservation Center,
Society,
Martha
yeah.
Handler. We did do a partnership with the Women's Wolf Pack at Dig Farm with one of our groups, which was fabulous. But they invited us. Jessica took the community center group to the Wolf Conservation Center free of charge. So and Marie had a group up to D. Del Bello's Alpaca Farm in Wacabuck. That was a group on the spectrum. And they just loved it. I could show you pictures. It was just, they just loved it.
I just loved it too.
We all loved it.
I've never been that close to a wolf. It was amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, in fact, some of the venues are reaching out to us right now because they know this is about when we start. And they just want to say, you're welcome. Please contact us to make dates.
That's a great thing. How do people reach out to you if an organization wants to reach out? All of the notes, all of the links and everything that you sent me, Bonnie, and everybody will be in the show notes. There'll be live links so that you can just click and go directly there. But what if someone wanted to reach out and partner with you, an organization?
Yes.
What would be the process?
So they can just go to the website, and at the bottom of the website, there's Get Involved. That's if you want to volunteer. There's Donate if you want to donate, which, by the way, I will add that all of our programs are 100% free to the organizations we partner with. They don't pay a penny for a naturalist, a bus, food, anything. Right. And we are supported by donations. And the third, they can just, contact us.
Okay.
So they can send an email, and I'll get the email. Yeah. But I do want to mention a little bit about our unique follow-up program that we've.
Right. That was my next question. Yeah. Thank you. Good.
But in addition to the follow-up that we do with the partner directors of our partner organizations, we also have a professionally designed follow-up survey. And I think that the results of this are pretty remarkable. We ask many questions in the survey, and the results that we get show that actually 100% of our participants feel that the nature outing was beneficial to their clients, and 100% would like more.
That's
Okay. Some other questions we asked that pertain to, the mental health situations. 79% of our participants experience a great deal or a lot of reduced anxiety,
nice.
and 100% feel somewhat less anxious. That's pretty powerful.
Yeah. Every little bit
Same
counts.
thing with being more relaxed. 79% feel a great deal or a lot more relaxed, and 100% somewhat more. And with well-being, 88% feel a great deal or a lot of increased well-being, and 100% find some difference. Also, we see results in cognitive functioning and in social interactions. It's powerful. It's
It's
just
very powerful.
really, really powerful. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's so much like research out there about like the benefits. I mean, the Japanese have been doing forest bathing for 50 years or
Mhm.
more now. The Canadian doctors are now prescribing time in nature for things like anxiety. It's like it's a prescription. They write you, please go spend
Yeah,
time in nature,
it's the best.
and it is, there's well documented research out there about the benefits of
Yeah.
it. Do
We're
you have
running
any?
about 40 programs a year now, and that's
Wow.
kind of maxed out with the budget we have presently for donations.
Okay.
Um,
And the
uh,
website is accessnatureproject dot. What
no,
is?
we're an initiative of Dig Farm, DIG. So
Okay.
you go to the Dig Farm website, and under that, you'll find
You'll see the
Access
Access
Nature.
Nature
And then
Project.
we
Yep.
have all these different other sub pages for that. Yeah.
Yes. So it's digfarm.org. And
Yeah,
then under that will be a tab. I've got the website open here. And under
yeah.
that will
Yeah.
be the tab for Access Nature Project. And then within there, you can go and contact, donate, and reach out directly to you. Right? All right.
Just a shout out again to Allison at Dig Farm for including all of our groups anytime it happens with Allison. If we want to do
It's
something,
amazing.
she says, "Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it." And as part of the full circle, we like to start our groups at Dig Farm in the spring and then return again in the fall because they see the full cycle of planting and harvest.
Love
And
that.
we've also, yeah, they're so thrilled to pull out a carrot from under the earth. And, then we come back and sometimes we've done a cooking activity
Yeah,
with
make
That's
what
something
right.
we've
with it.
just harvested.
Yep.
We've also packed up the food and brought it to the community center of Northern Westchester. So it's really the full cycle from seed to harvest to donation. And
When
Absolutely.
that's, yeah.
when Marie's group does that, you can't imagine the smiles on the
Oh,
faces of these
I'm
people on the
picturing it now.
spectrum that have grown the food, harvested the food, then deliver it to the food pantry. They feel so good about themselves, and they should.
It
And
is.
Jessica's group, these are the people that are often, not all of them, but a lot of them going to the food pantries to get their bags of food. And now it's a full circle they're making. They're helping out with it, and then they're helping to then they see it back in the food pantry. So it's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
You
And
know, if I can add, I have a joke
please.
with Allison. Allison is by far one of the most nicest human beings in the world. I happen to be very lucky, and Dig Farm is also the home base for my nonprofit for the people and kids. So we have a teaching kids garden there. So I get to take, when we do Access Nature, those little children in there, and they get to pull out and they get to taste and they get to take home. So it's wonderful. One of the things that Allison does is not only you can do all that, but you actually can learn how to cook these items. I remember when I first met her, she kept wanting to give me turnips. And I'm like, Allison, I'm Puerto Rican. I don't know what to do with a turnip. Well, guess what? I've learned, and that's what I'm talking about. That's
Love
full
that.
circle. And I love turnips now. Who would have thunk it?
Well, when you think about
Yeah.
full circle and you think about nature, I mean, nature is about cycles, right? And we go through all of that, and the fact that your
Yeah.
program kind of mimics that as well is beautiful. That's amazing.
So all of our programs have an educational component to it, as
Hmm.
Jessica just alluded to.
Hmm.
I feel that's a really important aspect of what we're doing. It's, other groups can do it a different way, but that's how we do it.
Absolutely.
So, we might have learn about backyard container growing.
That's right.
But I also want to say that I'm so filled with gratitude for the organization that we're with and the people that are working. We're together, Jessica, Marie, and Lalani, who does our outreach and digital work, Lonnie Robbins. And they were very modest when they gave their little bio. So I just want to mention they're so qualified and so amazing. And it's like I'm so lucky that we found each other. And Jessica got the Best of Westchester Award for the Best Outdoor Educational Program 2 years ago. Yeah, so I mean, the support of nature, and I'm not talking about trees. Well, I am. That term, supportive nature, that I've gotten since going with Allison and Dig Farm has just been overwhelming,
I'm
incredible.
so grateful to have you all here. I think it's just you're all such powerhouses, and respectively, individually and together. This work you're doing is so absolutely remarkable and so needed. I'm hoping that people listening can really donate, look into access, no pun intended, and create more organizations like this that provide
That's
access
right.
to nature for
Yeah,
people, underserved communities, and people with disabilities, people of color, all the people that don't always feel like they have even a right or access to be in nature, which is absurd to
right.
me, but
And we're
is the
now
case.
in Westchester, Fairfield County, Rockland County, and Putnam.
That's amazing.
And we could grow more if we had the means to do it. I'm not hungry that way, but it happens. It keeps happening. And so we are trying to fill in the gaps. And as far as the what you just mentioned, we always need volunteers. We always need people. We have a nice, very nice group of volunteers. Very nice. We've built up a nice group, but we can always use more. And the educational workshop, if anybody's interested in their organization learning more about how to do this in their home communities, it's free. It's about 60 to 90 minutes. I've taught it to New York State Land Trust Alliance. I've taught it to New York State Parks and Rec. I've taught it to National Audubon, and I've taught it to individual land trusts. But I'm open to, if you want to contact me, we can schedule a Zoom or whatever and learn more about how to do it in your own community.
Awesome. There's also I should ask, are there any events coming up? Knowing that there is one coming
Oh,
up.
yes, we have an open house,
That's
but we
right.
don't.
Dig,
Dig
dig,
Farm.
fa- dig farm,
Dig
right?
Farm.
You can tell us a little
Yes.
about what's that going to look like?
What's that, Jessica?
Yeah, it's going to be
April
April
11th, I think.
April 11th, which is a Saturday from 10 to 2, and it's going to be wonderful. All the initiatives are there. I'll be there with my Access Nature hat and also with my For the People and Kids hat. Everyone can just take a walk
hat.
around, get to meet everyone, get to see what happens, the magic that
Yes.
happens at Zig Farm. So it's
And
open to everyone.
the address is 120 June Road, 115.
115 June Road, North Salem.
115 June
North
Road in
Salem.
North
Okay.
Salem.
Yeah. It's really magical. It's a really beautiful, beautiful place where we're all very blessed to spend a lot of time there.
Yeah.
And I gotta
That's-
say, I love these two ladies. This is a synergy. This was meant to be. We kind of came
Meant to
together,
be.
and it's perfect. It really
What a
is.
team.
So I'm very
It's worked.
thankful.
Are there
Yeah.
any other plugs or anything else you want to throw out there? I guess I give you each a second here.
Well,
If there's anything
I think what you're doing is great, William. It's terrific. And I know, it's a bit of work organizing these podcasts, but you're helping to spread the word.
That's
You
right.
really are.
Fabulous.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's really
Yeah.
good.
Marie, you have anything going on? Anything you want to personally plug or anything? Or
Spread the word, get out in
Yes.
nature, enjoy the benefits. It's free, it's available, it's inclusive. You just have to get there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
We have some art workshops happening. I also am with
Mhm.
the Arts Council of Mount
yes,
Kisco, so please take a look at what we have. All of those events are free. That's bringing the arts together. Visit for the people and kids. We're getting ready to get back up to the farm. The kids open up that garden and they
yay.
take care of it the whole season through and put it to sleep in the fall. So it's really wonderful. Thank you,
That's
Will. This
awesome.
is great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me today, and best of luck on the 11th, okay? Thanks for listening to The Nature of Mental Health. If you enjoyed today's episode, please follow, rate, and share the show. It helps others find their way to this community. For more resources, visit riverstonementalhealth.com. Until next time, notice the small spaces where nature meets your day. Stay curious, and may you find resilience in every season.